Hey, my reactor. So we back with Orphan continuing chapter. What chapter is this? 26. What about the finder's fee? Pia said. Did you know she was charging money for the baby she took from St. Vincent's? She told people it was a donation to help the orphanage. Mother Joe stopped and turned to face them, her sagging legs almost all the way closed. Did she give you money for the children at St. Vincent? Pia said. Or was she lying about that too? As a matter of fact, she did, Mother Joe said. They weren't stable. They wasn't sizable donations, but she gave us what she could spare. And if you have any idea how much money it takes to properly care for so many orphans, care of which you two were beneficiaries, I might add, you'll understand why we're willing to accept what any kind of soul is willing to give. She started towards the door again. Now, I suggest you pray for forgiveness for accusing Nurse Wallace of such horrible things. Miss Lange and Mr. Duffy, that woman is deserving of sainthood. Pia and Finn looked at each other and stood, their face lining with frustration. You're wrong about her, Pia said, blinking back angry tears. And when I find out the truth, you're going to be the one asking for forgiveness for not helping me sooner. Doesn't the Bible say learn to do good and seek justice? Yes, Miss Lange, it does. It also says you should not bear false witness against your neighbor. You're welcome to come back and speak to me when or if you find proof about what you're saying. Until then, good day. God bless you and take care of yourself. Pia wrapped her arms around herself and followed Finn out of the office, bewildered and stunned into silence by fury and despair. She thought for sure Nurse Wallace was still coming to St. Vincent's, and that once she and Finn revealed their suspicions, Mother Joe would be willing to ask the nurse where she lived or let Dr. Hudson know when she came in again. But the old nun hasn't seen her in years, and she didn't believe them anyway. Either that or she didn't care. Pia didn't know what to do. She trudged down the hall behind Finn, each of them lost in their own thoughts. Like Mother Joe office, the orphanage coordinators seems to have shrunk, but fear and misery still filled the air like a living, breathing thing. She couldn't wait to get out of there. Are you all right, Finn said. She nodded, swallowed a lump in her throat. At the end of the hall, a door opened and a line of young girls with sad faces and ill-fitted outfits filled out and moved towards them. Pia and Finn stepped aside to let them pass. She couldn't help looking at their desolate, sunken eyes. What had led them there, in such a horrible place? Had their parents died, abandoned them? Had they gotten lost at the open air market and been snatched up by the police? Another door opened and two women in dark dresses and damp aprons came out, their sleeves rolled up to their elbows. Pia gave them a quick glance, then directed her attention back to the young girls. She wanted to rescue them all, to steal them from this prison and take them home, to feed them and love them and let them know they weren't alone. If Mrs. Hudson could see them, she'd feel the same way. Maybe Pia should bring her here. Maybe they could open up their own orphanage and run it with kindness and love. Pia, someone behind her said. Someone said behind her. Pia turned, surprised to hear someone say her name. The woman's pale face looked familiar somehow, but Pia couldn't place her. Maybe it was a girl who'd been at St. Vincent's at the same time she was there, all grown up. Maybe it was Gigi or Jenny. No, the girl didn't look like either of them. Who was it? Edith? No, Edith had brown hair. This woman had blonde corkscrew curls and blue eyes. Then she remembered. Rebecca, she said. What are you doing here? Rebecca said. She eyed Finn with suspicion, then gave Pia a worried look. Are you in trouble? At first, Pia didn't understand what Rebecca meant. If she were in trouble, why would she come to St. Vincent's? Then she remembered St. Vincent's house unwed mothers as well as orphans, and heat crawled up her face. Rebecca thought Finn was her boyfriend. No, I'm fine, Pia said. We're just looking for someone. Who? Rebecca said. No one you know, Pia said. Started walking again, and Finn followed. Rebecca went with them. Are you sure? She said, I've been working here ever since I left the Hudsons, and I gave birth to Simon over at St. Vincent's home for unwed mothers. I've seen a lot and I know a lot. Pia stopped and turned to face her. After what Rebecca had done with Cooper, she didn't think she could trust her to be honest about anything. But right now she'd take any help she could get. Do you remember seeing any nurses picking up or dropping off children? Maybe, Rebecca said. What about Nurse Wallace? She was really tall with dirty blonde hair and pasty skin. Mother Joe said she stopped coming years ago, but maybe. I'll never forget her, Rebecca said. Pia's stomach clenched. She hadn't expected such a quick response. And even though Rebecca sounded sincere, how could Pia believe anything she said? She glanced at Finn, looking for reassurance, but his eyes were locked on Rebecca, waiting to see what she'd say next. Why did you say that? Pia said. Because she took my son, Rebecca said. Pia gritted her teeth. Rebecca was lying again. You said your baby died. Rebecca hung her head and clasped her hands together, squeezing until her knuckles turned red. Then she sighed and dropped her arms to the side. When she looked up again, her eyes were wet. I said he died because I couldn't tell you the truth. What truth? Pia said. You changed your story so many times. How am I supposed to know if you're being honest right now? Because Cooper Hudson is my son. Nurse Wallace stole him and gave him to Dr. and Mrs. Hudson. Pia gasped, her mouth falling open. It made perfect sense. That was why Rebecca had been desperate to work at the Hudsons, and why she was so annoyed with Cooper. That was why she wanted to nurse him and hold him close. Oh my God, she said. 100 questions raced through her mind, but she didn't know what one to ask first. Clearly, Mrs. Hudson had been right to worry about where Nurse Wallace had found the baby she sold. Before she could put her spinning thoughts together and form a rational sentence, Rebecca continued. I wanted to work at the Hudson just so I could be near him. She said, I knew I couldn't take care of him properly, and I planned on giving him up, but she took him without telling me. Tears started down her eyes. I know what I did was wrong, but he was crying, and I couldn't help myself. I'm his mother. She buried her hands on her face. Pia started to say something when a sudden realization hit her. Her heartbeat picked up speed. I'm sorry, she said. I truly am. But how did you know where he was? Did Nurse Wallace tell you? Rebecca scraped her fingers under her eyes, trying to swallow her sobs. No, she didn't tell me anything. He was underweight and a little sickly, so I thought the nuns were going to see if he survived before putting him up for adoption. But 2 days after he was born, I woke up and he was gone. The nun said Nurse Wallace had already found him a good home, but I never got to say goodbye. Then how did you find out she took him to the Hudsons? Pia asked. Because I stayed on to work, so I'd be there when she come back to get another baby. I told her I just wanted to see my boy one more time, just to say goodbye. I swore on my life I wouldn't cause her any trouble, and I'd do anything she wanted if she just let me see him. I said I'd be her housemaid for free or pay her anything she wanted. Anything. At first she refused, but a few days later she agreed to tell me where he was if I dropped off a package. That was it. Just drop off the package. Pia was confused. Why would Nurse Wallace want her to drop off a package? Then she recalled as if slapped at the Hudsons. Rebecca nodded. I didn't know what was in it or anything, and I didn't care. I just wanted to see my boy. That was all that matters to me. So she gave you the package and you took it to the Hudsons, Finn said. Rebecca shook her head. No, she didn't want the nuns to see her give it to me. I had to pick it up. Where? Finn said. At her apartment. Pia could hardly breathe. So you know where she lived? Rebecca shrugged. I knew where she lived 5 years ago, but I don't know if she's still there. Do you remember the address? Finn said. I think I remember where the building was. Can you take us there? Pia said. Rebecca nodded. And I'll be back. Well, Pia, orphan.